Hi, Simon here from Gold Coast Solar Power Solutions. Today I want to show you a common issue we see with Fronius inverters, and it can apply to the Fronius Galvo, Primo, Symo and ECO range of inverters, and that's an internal issue with the fans in the inverters. With these inverters, they do have a heat sink up the top here, and what can happen is leaf litter and debris can potentially get down behind the inverter here and cause a problem with the fan inside the back of the inverter. And this can cause, can lead to a number of different issues. It can lead to the fan being noisy. It can lead to the inverter derating due to it being over temperature because the fan is not working. It can cause a state 303 error, state 304 error, state 517 error, state 325 error, state 326 and state 327 errors on the Symos. So let's have a look at this and see what's actually going on. Here on the bench I've got a Fronius Galvo inverter. I've just got the back of it showing here, and you can see the heat sink out the back here. This is the top of the inverter here, and what we have here behind here is a fan, and what happens is it sucks in cool air from the side of the inverter and it pushes that air up here and through the heat sink. I've undone a couple of screws here already so you can actually see, and here you can see the fan. So it's sucking the cool air in from outside the inverter. It's pushing it up through that big heat sink there to keep the inverter nice and cool. So this fan is a usual cause of fan issues with the inverters, and it's due to debris potentially getting down inside here, and it sits inside this little channel and can get stuck in the fan, which can lead to something like this. I'll just wire it up here. So you can hear the fan there going away, and that's at full bore. Usually the inverter is going to be controlling the fan speed, and it's going to be going a little bit slower than that. But so what can happen is debris can fall down here and get stuck in there and end up through the fan and be causing it to be noisy like that, or causing it to stop altogether. I'm just going to unplug that now. We've even actually seen geckos have the unfortunate incident of being stuck halfway through when the fan turns on, and so they've died inside there and jammed up the fan altogether. And if that fan stops working, it means this heat sink isn't going to be able to get rid of all the heat out of the inverter that it needs to when the inverter is working at full capacity. And so what the inverter will do if it sees that it's getting too hot is it'll actually derate the output of the inverter or throw one of those error codes. So if your fan is noisy like this, or you are having one of these faults come up on these state codes come up on your inverter, what you need to do is get to this fan and check it to see what's going on with it. Check it's okay. So I recommend that this procedure be carried out by a solar accredited electrician who knows what they're doing, who's familiar with solar power. It's not something that just anyone should do. So let's have a look at what we do here. Let's put this one aside. So what you need for this is a large flathead screwdriver, and it's very important you follow the shutdown procedure of the inverter if it's still on. What you want to do, over here we've got a shutdown procedure. What we do is we turn off the solar supply main switch or an inverter supply main switch in your switchboard, or the inverter AC isolator. If you've got an inverter AC isolator present, we've got an inverter AC isolator here, so we're just going to throw that off. And then we turn off the PVRA DC isolator located at the inverter. Now with the Fronius Galvo, Primo, Symo and ECO range of inverters, they've got a DC isolator which is actually built into the inverter here, underneath the inverter. So we just throw that 90 degrees to the off position, and that isolates the inverter completely. You should see after a few moments that the screen goes completely blank. And then what we want to do with our big flathead screwdriver is just undo this bottom cover of the inverter. It can be done with a T25 Torx bit as well. So we pull this off. And then inside here we have two more screws which need to be undone. And then with the DC isolator turned off, the front cover of the inverter should actually pull up like so. Now underneath here is, this is just one we've got showing you for demonstration purposes, but the AC of the inverter will be wired into here, the DC will be wired into here. Obviously you don't want to be touching those things. If you've just isolated the DC at this switch here underneath the inverter, the DC is live still. The AC will be dead if you turn off over the inverter AC isolator or the inverter supply main switch or solar supply main switch. But there could be DC there, so you want to keep away from that. So what we do now is we actually lift this inverter up off this hinge at the top here, just like so. And if you've got a bench or something, I recommend putting down a cloth or something just to protect the front of the inverter. And you can see we've got the back of the inverter here. Now it's slightly different on the Galvos, Primos, and Symos and Ecos, but it's pretty much the same process. What we need to do is we've got two screws here. We've got a big flathead screwdriver or a T25 Torx bit again. We just pull those off. Okay, and now just on the sides here we've got these little clips, if you can see that there. We just need to lift this bit of plastic over that so it lifts up over that clip, and same on the other side, lifts over, and then this whole section lifts off. And the fan is actually connected into the inverter here through this little bush. So you don't need to worry about that. We'll just leave that like this. And just with this cover off like this, you can check the fan. So make sure there's no debris sitting in there, no geckos cut in half. And make sure also, it's a bit hard to see here, I'll just actually show you from the other inverter here. You can see just in here, a bit of dust actually starts building up over time as well, and we've actually seen it where that dust just builds up enough. And as you can see, there's not much clearance between the edge of the fan and the outside edge, so it doesn't take much dust to actually get it to cause it to scrape against the edge, so and cause a noise and potentially cause it to stop working altogether. And so if a bit of debris like so just gets stuck in, it's going to potentially stop the fan turning altogether, which obviously you want to remove anything like that, get it all out. And while you're there, try and clean off this any bits of dust which might be starting to build up on the fan as well. Just clean that up as best as possible. And when you've done that, when you can check that it's all working freely and everything's clean in there, you can put it back together. So back to this inverter here, we'll just sit that back in place. Just with these clips again, we just make sure they clip back in properly. Clip back in, and then we do these the screws back up. Make sure they haven't fallen out and get lost somewhere. And so once we've done that, we're right to put the inverter back on the wall. So we just lift it up, we can turn it around there. And so the inverter sits on these round section here, which is the hinge. It sits in this section here. So what we want to do is lift the inverter up. Now, with the larger Symo inverters, the larger ECO and the ECO inverters, they are quite heavy. This is a two-person lift with those inverters, but with the Galvo and Primos, it's usually a one-person lift is okay. And so we put it on a little bit of an angle, just make sure that lines up, clips down, and then it should just lock back into place. And we make sure we do up the screws there again. Now, if you had a inverter which is connected to a smart meter you may have some data cables running in here to a data manager card, which is probably through either this gland here or coming through the back of the inverter. You'll need to unplug that from the data manager card, and just make sure that it's not you're not damaging those data cables as you get them out of the way, and put them back in place as well in the correct spot. So once that's all in place, we can then pop on the cover again. It should go on with a pretty affirmative click there, and we just do up those screws, and then we go through the startup procedure is usually the reverse of the shutdown procedure. So what you do is you just turn on the PV array DC side, which is this isolator under here again. So we just throw that on, and then we turn on the inverter AC isolator, or the inverter supply main switch, or solar supply main switch inside the switchboard, and let the inverter start up. It's usually going to take about a couple of minutes to start up, just to see how that's going. Just monitor it. If it was previously going out on over temperature, just remember that it's going to take a little while for the inverter to heat up again and get to a point where it will actually drop out on over temperature. So it may take half an hour to an hour on a nice sunny day. If it's a miserable overcast day, you probably won't even get there. It probably won't overheat at all. So just monitor the system, and you should find that it's rectified the issue. If it was a noise issue, it should have rectified that noise, and should be all good. If you've got a problem like this and you're on the Gold Coast or Southeast Queensland area, Gold Coast Solar Power Solutions can certainly help. If you're somewhere else in the world, I recommend you get in touch with a local solar accredited electrician who can help you further. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it's been helpful for you.